Hey guys, Daniel James here and welcome to this quick look at Project Bravo. What I'm going to do first is take a look at all the new features and briefly explain how they work, and then I'm going to go through the library and show you some of the content that comes with the library. So first up, let me talk about this, our biggest new feature called the dual control. The dual control filter is basically a rhythmic generator for any sounds, even your own imported ones. So if I just play a raw sound first, and then click on the dual control and literally just any random kind of over the step sequences here, and it sounds like this, which is a cool little thing. You can control the filter here, and it has its own built-in distortion. You can change the speed of how fast each step controls the filter here. For even more rhythmic interest, and you can choose how fast it goes through the steps using this little dial here. I'll just show you one of my favorite little sounds from using the dual control, this one here. This patch also shows our gate control. So gate control works like any normal trance gate. Step full on is full volume, all the way down is off, halfway is half volume. And you can combine these effects together to create even more rhythmic interest. The filter and the distortion in the dual control is completely separate from our effects unit on the left here. So you can actually combine different distortions together. So with none on, with just the effects distortion in, and then with two distortions together. With the filter resonance on the effects unit all the way up, but not on the dual control. But then with some added resonance in the dual control. And as I said in my 2-hour-long video, the main focus of the library is customization and patch creation. So there's a fun little thing. So here's some of the polytype sounds we have. And this is a good opportunity to show you how the step sequencer works. So if I just put this on here, switch it on. As you can see, the rhythm is determined by the steps, so you can program any rhythm in you like. Underneath here, we have panning, so you can pan around however you like the, to get some kind of wide sounds. Up above here, we have these numbers, which determine which number in a chord you're holding will be played back on that step, so you can create your own ostinati type sounds, like so. One of the cool features we have is that if you, let me create a MIDI track back here. If you say like this pattern and you want to layer it, let's say with strings or with piano, any other library, percussion, you hold the chord that you want, you click on the grab MIDI function while your keys hold down, and then you click the MIDI drag, and you now have whatever was in your step sequencer as MIDI data that you can apply to anything. And of course you can just play a different chord, grab that, drag that in, and the opportunities here are endless. So that's the little step sequencer. I'll show you a few little examples of that being used in our synth basses. One of the focuses of this library is what we're calling kinetic motion type patches, patches that you layer into any piece of music to give it a drive or give it some forward motion. So then we also have in our synth section the riffs. Riffs are basically melodic melodic phrases that we've created on analog synths that are tempo synced, which you can bring in and play back. Down here we have an LFO filter, LFO control, which controls either the filter or the amp, or both at the same time. It's up to you. You can turn how much of it you want by turning up the intensity. So if I put this on the filter, bring the filter all the way down, and now we'll hear what it's doing. So that's cool. We also have a whole bank of pads. So pads, go from like the soft. And we also have all sorts of and of course any sound in the library can be run through any of the filters. So like the dual control, you can turn a pad into a rhythm. So there's ultimate customization there. So that we also include init patches, which are basically the raw recordings that we from our analog synths and sound design, which come flat like this. So you can just load it up into whatever filters you like, not filters, any effects you like. You can create some stuff there. You can bring in some cool sounds for anything. So you can create your own patches, then you just go to File, Save. So now let me cover some of the other elements we have in the library. We now have tempo synced whoosh bangs. Whoosh bangs are essentially transitional type effects that you can add to any piece of music to get from one section to another. We have downers, which are sounds that go downwards. Although with downers this time, we didn't pre-bake so many because we now have a custom downer. So if you want just if you want a long downer, bring this down. You can control the length of how long you want your downer to be using the Adsr controls here. By using our new pitch envelope Adsr here. So if I want a long one, I can have the decay all the way up. Really long downer if I want a short one. And as with the rest of our library, can be run through any effects to create your own custom rhythmic downers, for example. You can use any of our effects units on them. We've got compactor, punch, grip, all these fun things. So they're the downers. Drones are sustained soundscapes. You put under a piece of music to you can put under any piece of music just to add a bit of depth, add a feeling, an emotion. Again, dual control showing that anything can become a rhythm. We also have a drum section, so we recorded a whole bunch of drum slices so you can create rhythms. These are particularly good when you put them through the step sequencer. For the creation of your own loops. We have a click maker, which is basically a very short kind of glitchy sound. Very useful for layering under a piece of music, again, for a bit more kinetic drive. We have a bunch of drum breaks, which are just recorded drum loops. Which can also be run through dual control for interesting effects. Or not, of course, it depends on what you... we also have the slices, so the kicks, the snares and the hi-hat split, so you can create your own hi-hat rhythms using the step sequencer up here. So of course you can program your own rhythms, should you so desire. This works particularly well on the kicks. So these are our kick drums, and then we can just bring this down. Worth mentioning here, we have Adsl Filter as well, so particularly useful on the step sequencer. It allows you to make clicky type sounds. So you can create very sub-type sounding kicks. We have snares. Here we go, some nice long snares. Also worth mentioning here, we have down here a compressor, which is capable of parallel compression thanks to the mix amount. So dry signal, fully compressed signal, parallel compressed signal. This one doesn't have a threshold dial. It has an input, so the threshold is controlled by the input. So the more input you have to the right, the more compressed it is. Same with the ratio. The more to the right it is, the more compressed. So very useful there. And we also have some sub-kick booms. These are quite loud. You can control the volume with the expression CC. So if something's too loud, just pull down expression. It'll turn down the volume. If these are too bassy, you can come up to our EQ section in the top right here. Gain, so we have low, mid, and high. If you want a bit more bass, you can bring this up. You want a bit less, then it's not so much of a sub, but you know. And then, of course, we just have very plain sub kicks. Again, can be run through the step sequencer here. Worth mentioning here our delays. So the delay unit you can come up here and control. The delay and the reverb are always on send tracks, so you can always just pull up how much of that you want. For some interesting sounds, we have impacts, which are all cool. So we have our regular boom type sounds, which are sounds just for hitting a downbeat, or you know, or something like, yeah, however you like to use booms. We have a boom rhythm maker using the step sequencer. Useful for making your own rhythms there. We have a whole bank of impact sounds, which are sort of like the booms, but they've got more high end, so they're a bit more intense. Things like that. And as with everything, we've tried to make it so that you can do rhythmic stuff. Again, like I mentioned, it's a kinetic rhythm is kind of the focus of this library. We have large tom hits. These are basically sliced out hits from our rolls from our last library. People were requesting to be able to play them. So you have the option to do that now. And then we have rumble hits. Which are hits with a nice long tail. If there's too much tail, of course, you can pull the reverb down. Have the clicky sound. And as I mentioned earlier, pretty much anything that has a hit you can turn into a rhythm in this library, which was a big focus. Okay, so now we have the reverse sound effects. Again, these are tempo synced to request from last time. These are just your typical reverse sound effects. You can bring these up. And of course, for those people who like to drag loops in, we also have open wave format. So any of these, now we're moving into the rhythm section. If there's any rhythms you like, you can go to the source sample folder and just drag them in as wave files. But we have these new click loops, which are just very tiny percussion loops. So these are just samples you can play that throw into a track, you know, just add that little high-end type click to it. As with everything else, can be run through effects. Like I keep mentioning, the focus of this library is customization. We have construction loops, which is loops that have low on the left hand, and the further right you go, the higher the instrument. So you can create like rhythm beds just by holding a few notes. We have different variations on that. Then we have full rhythms, which are rhythms that cover a lot of sonic ground. We have high rhythms, which are things like hi-hats. Lots of those types of clicky things. We have low rhythms, which are just low-based instruments. And then we have mid instruments, which are instruments in the middle between the two. And again, you can run these through effects. Let's maybe have like a gate effect. And then run that through the dual control. And then moving on, we have a riser bank. Risers are sounds that start from nothing and build to a very large crescendo. Things like that. Great for trailers, great for really big action pieces. Our focus on this library isn't so much all epic all the time. So, you know, if you're doing smaller TV pieces, video game pieces, you know, you can fit these in quite easy. So signature sounds are like the equivalent to Project Alpha's Brahms, except we took it in a few different directions. So these are particularly good to run through effects. Let's just do a different one this time. Everything becomes a rhythm in this library. Oh, I've just done that one. So we also have horror accents, which are in the signature sounds. So these are just similar type idea, but they are just a bit more horror. Great for if you're doing horror type sounds. We've also given people the ability to import their own samples. So you'll also find a blank patch. This isn't a problem. If you want to import your own samples, all you have to do is click this little wrench here, close the script, open mapping editor, drag in your sample, and then you can use whatever sound you've got. I'll just give you a very quick example here. I know people don't like waiting around. I'll just drag in a raw sound here. You just drag in any wave file from wherever you like. You pull it to the sides here. Go down to the left. Don't want to go less than C-1. Otherwise, you'll hit our key switches. Wave editor. You come over to that, and then you hit sample loop. Create a nice loop point. Oop. Come back down there. Create a loop just by clicking on the sample loop section in the sample editor, put it over the section you want to loop. I mean, you can make that a bit tidier, but in the interest of time, I'll move along. If you want to change the start time, you just scroll down a tiny little bit to source, add modulator, and then add a random on the sample start. So now, with this set to sampler, now you have any sound you like in the UI ready to be used. Can make it short using the amp Adsr. You can, if you want, make a short snappy filter using the Adsr. And of course, you've got the dual control. Just turn this intensity down. Let me just make this a bit. You can go up to the dual control, throw some of that in, as we've been doing. And as you can see, you can really create your own custom sounds. So like I mentioned, the focus of the library is is just that raw, not raw, but it's that kinetic motion sound. So it works on anything from small type sounds to very large epic type sounds. We've tried to cover as broad as possible. And yeah, so I hope you enjoyed this quick look. If you'd like to see anything else, just let me know, and I'll try and get a video or a demo put together for you. But yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.